good day to everybody, and welcome to the Texas Real Estate Show. And this is where we discuss the market, the current real estate market in Texas, um, and also anybody looking to get into real estate, whether you're an investor, whether you're a new agent wanting to get into the business. This is where you meet the experts. If you have any questions, we will have a Q&A at the very end of the call. First of all, let me introduce my one of my co-hosts, James Lee from FNN Corp. How are you doing, James, today?
It's James Lee. I'm good. Lee Group Loans right here.
And
Found
James,
on all social media stuff. I'm here.
and James is also my co-host on the Olympian table. Um, we air that on Wednesdays at 10 o'clock. So hopefully you can join that channel as well and learn more about us. James, tell us what type of loans you do. What you do, residential and commercial?
Yes, residential and commercial. Any loan you need, just call me. We can discuss the details. Don't get caught up in the minutia. If you need money, use my money. Don't use your money.
Can I come to you for some money, James?
You can. You have to qualify though.
Oh, that's the problem.
It's not free money. You do have to qualify. There are parameters
Okay.
surrounding
Okay.
it.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to get into politics, and I'm not going to say
Yeah.
that we like the government where we just give the money away. But all I can say is, and to my left, I have Mr. Dennis Shelton.
Good morning.
And Dennis is actually head of our commercial department over at Century 21 Olympian. So tell us a bit about yourself, Dennis.
Well, actually, I'm a real estate agent. Have been one for quite some time now. Actually, as Steve said, I head up the commercial team. Pretty exciting time in commercial right now.
It is. What's the market like there? We'll get onto that a little bit later on, but tell us what's the market like at the moment.
His sound is not good. So I don't know what you got to do with his.
Okay, we've got you back on.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps
Can you hear me now?
Perhaps he's better off without any sound, but there
No,
you
what
go.
I have to say is important.
I see I'm in trouble.
This is what everybody's tuning in has been waiting to hear.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
that's good for the channel, I guess. And we have a guest today. We're very in a very lucky position to have a gentleman from Century 21 Corporate. His name is Casey Reed. He's even cancelled another meeting from Century 21 to be with us. And he's the growth consultant for Texas, Louisiana, is it Missouri and Virginia?
Mississippi.
Oh, I hope you would. In fact, it's available at any time. No. So my qualifications, I actually got into this particular line of work. I was a broker owner of a Century 21 franchise in Shreveport, Louisiana. Now, with that, I had a couple of partners that were brokers of their own firm that was in Arkansas, and I was actually living in and the one running our company that was in Shreveport. During my time there, began to specialize in mergers and acquisitions with other companies. As we looked at trying to grow, I looked at it a couple of ways. You know, you can recruit agents all day long, but the fastest way to grow a company is to just go buy another company that has a bunch of agents already and bring them on board. And of course, effectively for us, it doubled the size of our company overnight. And that's when the real work begins, and trying to make sure that everybody's happy and that you've got a culture that everyone likes. But that's what I specialized in, and I did that up until the point to where my business consultant at the time, growth consultant, actually started talking to me about coming to work on the corporate side of things. And so it was a good opportunity for my family and I both to do that. And I came on board with Century 21 then, and then actually left the organization for about 10 years just due to the amount of travel that is required in this job. And things are a lot different now because we've got great technology, such as what we're using today. I mean, you can get on Zoom calls and have face-to-faces that just gives you a little bit better meeting than a phone call would. So the travel has gone down. But in the 10 years that I was gone, I was a financial advisor. I did financial planning for individuals and companies as well. But I finally got the chance to come back to Century 21, come back to work as a growth consultant. Real estate's in my blood. It's something that I'm very passionate about. And I've been back with the company for about a year now.
Oh, congratulations. I just want to say that this particular channel is not just going to be a Century 21 channel. We are going to invite, other companies in that just to get their perspective as well. And as I said, we're sort of very lucky to get you on the channel today. Casey, what other companies did you have, experience with?
I'm sorry, Stephen, could you repeat that? I couldn't quite hear it.
Said what other companies did you have any experience with?
Well, so on the real estate side of things, I actually got into the business in the early 2000 timeframe. I was in work in telecommunications in the cellular telephone business, and decided I needed a change. And I jumped into real estate in the early 2000s and started with an independent in Louisiana. And then I moved into the commercial line of work and was working with another independent, Falcon Foster. But I did a lot of work with the larger commercial companies just on co-broking things such as the CB Richard Ellis's or the Jones Lang LaSalle's. When I left the real estate business for the last 10 years, I was actually working with a lot of banks. I was a financial advisor at Chase, JP Morgan Chase, as well as Capital One. And with them, doing the investing, I actually got into the insurance side of business too. It all ties together. And so much of what we do, there's so many different hands that are in the pot. And so I've got a little bit of experience with all of those things.
Franchise, a franchise real estate agent and and a franchise such as C21. What do you think one of the
Oh,
biggest differences?
so that's a great question because I started my career again as an independent. And for me, it's two things that you get. It's instantaneous credibility and instantaneous validation to the client that you know what you're doing because of the resources that are available to you as part of a franchise company. The public doesn't understand the blurred lines about what some of the companies are, but what they do know is the national name of Century 21. And with that, again, is just instantaneous validation. The other, I think, one of the biggest perks of it is just the referral network. I mean, we've got an opportunity to get referrals in from all over the world. And, real estate now, we used to say real estate is local, real estate is local, real estate is local, the three rules of real estate, right? Well, now, because of technology, real estate is global. And I think, especially for you guys there in Houston, I mean, you're an international city. And I was doing a training with another company not that long ago. And I just asked them, I said, raise your hand if 80% of your clients are clients that you didn't have a clue who they were before. And if they came to you from maybe out of this country. A vast majority of their clients were international clients, folks that were new to the country, folks that were coming in that they had not done business with, that were not in maybe their basic sphere of influence, if you will. So I think that just shows, more and more the power behind having a franchise name behind you versus just being an independent out there trying to make it on your own.
Uh, Now I'll get into the nitty gritty of the meeting. What do you think about the last 3 years that we've had? I mean, I'm going to bring James in a little bit with some of the challenges we've had, and Dennis. Um, what's your feeling on the last 3 years? Let's talk about the residential part of the business first.
You bet. I think the last 3 years have certainly been a high for the real estate business. Now, my personal opinion, and because I've been around for a while, I think that a lot of people have gotten into the business because it's easy, so to speak, because it's, the sales have been so fast, and especially there in Texas, you guys have seen just a tremendous uptick in the number of sales as well as the average sales price is just going through the roof. And so I think that there's been a lot of people that have always, maybe wanted to do something different and gotten into the business, and that takes a little bit away from some of the long time the lifers of this particular industry, folks that have been doing this or plan on staying in this business for a while. I think that we're going to see changes on the back end of this as this wave begins to crest. Then that's where I think we'll see a lot of people actually get out of the business. And those that have got the really good basic fundamentals are going to be the ones still doing this, 5, 6, 7 years from now.
Now, I'm going to bring my good fellow James in here. What's your feeling on the last 3 years, James?
It's been a bit of a seesaw, a roller coaster, so to speak, and kind of to Casey's point, the market has been now as of late saturated with people that are doing business because it's been so easy. You don't even really have to work or haven't had to work to sell a
Now,
house.
when you say people, you talking about real estate
New-
agents, or
new
you talking
agents.
loan officers?
Well, our job is not easy at all. Let's get that straight. It is not easy. Well, when agents specifically get into the business, passing the test, and getting out there and selling a house, because logistically, right, we know that you can buy a house without a real estate agent. But if you're smart, you need to get a real estate agent to do it because you need someone to guide you just as much. We've seen what Amber Heard and Johnny Depp are going through. They need lawyers because you look like a fool up there trying to represent yourself, right? But with that said, there have been people coming into this business doing it, thinking it's easy. And I think we'll see a shift because it's getting tough to do business now.
Yes,
Even
it is.
with the prices of homes and the interest rates going up, you got to be creative. This is not one of those, black and white kind of deals. You got to figure out, do I need to put more earnest money down? Do I need to shorten the option period? Do I need to, change the underwriting timing or whatever the case is to get that deal accepted? So it'll separate the men from the boys, so to speak, during this type of market. But before, it's been easy. The past 3 years, man, even during COVID, when we thought that it was going to be tough to do business, but they made real estate essential. So we never stopped. And I had one of my best years during that time, even not being able to go out.
Really? Through COVID, you had one of your best years?
Absolutely. Because it was easy. It was easy. The rates were low. It doesn't take much to sell an almost free loan. I mean, the interest rates were so low. But now the people that are in the market now to buy homes have never seen interest rates above 5%. So it's sticker shock for them. So you have to figure out a way to make yourself different, to make yourself stand out from everyone else, to say, hey, you know what? This person, they need to buy a house, but they want to wait because they're waiting for the market to crash or they're waiting for the bottom to fall out. Well, let me tell you, it ain't happening. Not the way you think it's going to happen. But that's just my opinion. I don't have a crystal ball or a Ouija board or anything to say that, my word is the gospel, but I do know that it'll be a shift and we'll see some people in this business now that won't be in this business next year.
Really?
I agree with you totally on that, James.
Yeah, that's pretty significant.
You heard it here first, sir.
We did. No. We heard it from James Lee first.
You had it.
And over on the commercial side, what's your feeling on that, Dennis?
For the real estate market, I think over the last 3 years, things have kind of went gangbusters, especially here in our local market. It's like James mentioned, it's been pretty easy to sell a property, multiple offers on properties, and things of that nature. But I think, as Casey spoke, as time goes on, the people that have systems in place are going to be the ones who's going to last in this market, because I think now that we're seeing a little bit of a slowdown uh, and actually having more availability of properties out there now, because I think I seen a statistic that showed that year over year, new homes were down, sales were down 22%, and I mean that's a pretty, and that was actually a NAR statistic. So nationwide down 22%, and that becomes pretty significant. But I think the people that have systems in place and are able to weather the storm and have learned and positioned themselves, I think they'll still do well in the real estate industry.
When you're talking about systems, you're talking about systems that help the clients?
Absolutely. Also, it is helping the agent as well for its marketing, obtaining new clients. And I think James mentioned something about people can buy a house without an agent. And yeah, that's all well and fine until something goes wrong, and then you look back in hindsight and say, hey, I wish I would have had someone to tell me to watch out for that landmine that's out there. And even when we talked about the different types of loans that are out there, what would be best for you. And I think in making this type of purchase, people would do wise to have a professional on their side to assist with that.
Especially with commercial.
Especially commercial.
There's, there's so many different strategies that people use to buy a commercial building. What's your experience, Casey, with commercial in relation to what if you was looking for a real estate agent now, and you're an investor and you're looking for a commercial agent, what would you be looking for if you were selecting an agent?
Well, knowledge is one of the first and foremost things, but it also depends upon the price range that we're looking into. And the reason I say that is one of the big initiatives that our company, Century 21, has been undertaking since 2011 is actually growing our commercial department. And what we found is that most of the big commercial companies, if the sales price is below $2.5 million, they don't want to fool with it. They don't want anything to do with it. So that is a huge opportunity that's out there for our residential brokerages to add commercial sales as part of their business to increase their bottom line. But then you want to look for that knowledge, making sure that agent is going to be able to help you. If it's lease negotiations, explaining what a triple net lease is. If it's going to be a build out, what are tenant improvements? What are they going to be on the hook for? Just making sure that agent is going to be able to communicate that experience to the client, because a lot of folks, they just don't know what they don't know.
So that's a bit of a statement.
I know, right?
It's a good statement. So, obviously it's very important for them to have that knowledge. So what sort of questions would you ask? Would you ask an agent if you was an investor and you was coming into the business? What sort of questions would you ask for?
So
we're looking for, but what would you?
I'd ask them simply, how many of these transactions have they performed? I mean, what makes you a local expert? How many of these within the local area? And who are maybe some of your past clients that you've helped? Would they give you a recommendation to work with me?
Is obviously important. What do you think Century 21 have changed to make that easier for the agent that may be looking to get into commercial real estate?
That's a great question. We actually have a program now that is called, you can get a certification, a Century 21 commercial designation of the Commercial Investment Network, a CIN. And we launched this designation within 2011. And there's a criteria that, you have to do, but it's really not a difficult criteria if someone has, some sales experience in this. But what we would do is we would get Randy Workman, who is our senior director of business momentum. And specifically, he focuses on the commercial business. He actually started this. He's developed a 42-hour training for these agents, which is called Advanced Commercial Advisor Training, and it's something that is just very beneficial. It arms them with what they need. And then he would coordinate with that company too, just to arrange what we call a commercial onboarding to make sure that all the agents understand what's available to them from the training aspect, as well as from the referral aspect as well.
All right. Any new agent joining the business, what would you advise them, Casey?
Well, the first thing, if it's a residential agent, I'm going to tell them whatever they need to do to go get a listing, that's where they need to focus their business on. That's the one thing about this business I don't think that'll ever change, is if you have listings, you will be successful. In the state of Texas right now, I think that is a big to do. It's very difficult because you guys really don't have listings. What we're seeing from the sales side of things are the average sales price is continuing to increase, but yet your sides closed are actually down this year compared to the same time period last year. And it's not because there's not buyers, it's because there's no inventory. But I think for a brand new agent in the business, whatever they have to do to start getting the listings, that's going to be the fastest way they can have success in this business, because then they've got the entire MLS trying to help them sell that house.
If I was a new agent looking to join the business, what advice would you give them, as in selecting a brokerage? I'm going to send the same question out to Dennis in a bit, and also James. Obviously, if it was a loan officer looking to get into the business, because there's so many brokerages out there, there's so many different plans. What advice would you give to them?
Well, I think that they need to find a brokerage that they feel like they're going to get value from. Everybody's going to promise, if it's just about the money, there's always going to be a better deal that's out there. So how is that brokerage going to help them grow as a client? What do they offer? Are they going to be there along the way through their development, helping train them, helping walk them through transitions? Will they be available whenever the problems arise? Because that's what happens a lot of times, is these agents get out there and they finally got a deal working, and then when there are issues that arise, as they always do, no one's there to guide them through it. And so I think that they've got to feel comfortable in knowing wherever they go, they've got somebody they're going to be able to talk to and actually have them as a mentor to them as they grow their career.
Okay. And then obviously, it's as a broker, I'll honestly say it's a challenge to continue that growth at a steady pace. To make sure that the agent's taken care of. How about you, Dennis? What would you say? A new agent joining the business, what would you recommend that they look for? Because there's a lot out there.
Yeah, there is. And actually, I think the biggest mistake that I see a lot of new agents go is that they're focused more on the commission split. And commission split of 0 deals is still 0. I think to have a brokerage that's able to support you, train you, give you systems to set up to where you can get to the table and do some deals. And I think also how your personality fits within the brokerage.
Yeah. I'm inclined to agree with that. How about you, James? If the new agent joining the business, what advice would you give them?
Get out fast. As soon as you can. You should have did it 3 years ago. Honestly, I have told people, I was like, man, you have waited to the worst time to try to join this business. I mean, I don't know what you think it's easy because all of your friends have been in it, the past 2-3 years.
And all you do is fill in a form.
And they're telling you, they're telling you, oh, it's blah, blah, blah. I'm telling folks, they think it's easy. And it isn't. Even I've seen even realtors becoming loan officers. And I always ask them, why would you do that?
See, I can't.
I don't understand why you even want to.
Yeah, me and you spoke about this. I can't see how that serves the client. All it does is serve the realtor that thinks that they can make more money.
Oh man, I'll tell you, if some agents I come in contact with, if you can't sell a house, you're not going to sell a loan. So it's I don't know if you're doing it because you want to make more money, um, but I couldn't imagine you thinking that you feel that it's going to be more beneficial if you could do the loan and do the what benefit will that give to the consumer? I don't see that, but folks, again, it makes it look easy because we've had some good years, low interest rates. Man, you really didn't have to work to get a loan. You just do it and people are ready to go. So folks go and they pass a test, pass a background check and credit, and oh, now I'm a loan officer. And I say, hey, congrats. But man, it's going to be tough.
The advice that I'll give to a client or a future client is, if the agent's doing the real estate deal and your loan, get another agent.
Hey, that's a way to look at it for sure.
Because that
Good
agent,
advice.
all their interest is quite simple. They just want to make the money. They don't give a damn about you.
I mean, even you guys have, don't you have to disclose, or there's something you got to sign if you're doing both sides of the transaction?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's a
it's
good
like,
idea.
so why would you? I don't know. I don't know why someone would do it, but
Perhaps,
anyway,
perhaps we need to get Trek on here. So I'd like to get Trek on here. sometime.
possibly. But to truly answer your question, as far as a new agent, they can't do it like everybody else. They've got to be different.
They've got to be unique.
They've got to be different. Everyone has a real estate license, right?
Mhm.
And you got all these designations that that people get. No knock on them if you have them, but I think really the only designation that matters is a broker designation. If you got all this ABR and CDEs and all this, that's cool that you have that, but everyone can sell a luxury home. Everyone can sell a distressed property. Everyone can sell, a new home, right? So if you're going to immerse yourself into something, get the education, some kind of way where you can make yourself different. Learn how to do social media. Learn how to do some videos, things that are going to set. And we have to do the same thing as loan officers. We can't just go in and talk to agents and say, hey, here's my book of programs that I have. This is what we can do. We've got to set ourselves apart. That's why I offer so much of the education here for the agents, so they can see me as a resource, and in hopes that they'll send business to me because I'm offering something valuable to them. So
Right.
you just got to set yourself apart.
And you've got a good
different.
and attention to detail that most loan officers don't. I told you the story about the other day
Mm-hmm.
about somebody made an offer on a new home. You know, the monthly fee was $2,400. They
Right.
get to the closing table because the Fed
Door went out.
have hiked
Went out. The door went out.
and has hiked everything up. That now it's a $3,000 a month.
Right.
Now, if that was a good loan officer, perhaps they would have given them a bit more information. But the training that you have and give to future loan officers, I think is very is very good. Give me some advice, Casey. If obviously I'm a broker owner of one of the Century 21 franchises that you're talking about, give me some advice on what type of person I should be looking for. As in a new agent that wants to get into the business.
Wow, nothing like a loaded question, right? What's the perfect agent? So I think right now in this day and age, the first thing you need to do is find somebody that's tech savvy. One of your gentlemen there mentioned this. I don't remember if it was James or Dennis, but you got to have folks that are comfortable making videos now. That you're getting online on the social media sites and making their presence known. The way that we do business is just completely different now. But the home buyers that we're trying to attract, if we're not in that arena, we will not have an opportunity at them. I think that is consistent no matter where you're at, is that you've got to have a social presence and you need to be somewhat tech savvy. The days of being able to do business the way that we did it 10 years ago, they're gone. And I think that the agents that are still trying to do that will tell you that they are struggling, and that they have not been able to keep up. A majority of our information now we gather from our phones. We're able to communicate with our own sphere of influence instantaneously. So that'd be the first thing that I was looking for. And then the second thing is just good old fashioned work ethic. Because those people that think that they're just going to fall into this business and that business is going to just come to them, I think we all know that's an illusion, and that's not going to be the case. So you really want to find somebody that's willing to put some time in and that is coachable, and willing to work for you.
Now, the next one, my next question is a loaded question. All right. Because of the demands that an agent needs for the social media side, tell us about Moxie that we're all sort of banging on your door for. What's this system called, Moxie? Tell us about it.
So we are
Free brokerage, is it?
Well, so we're going to offer it across the platform to all of Century 21 brokerages, but that's because Realogy is providing that for us. So what I mean by that is, in the past, if you wanted to go out and buy the Moxie suite of products, the number one, it's a $50,000 a year minimum investment to get that. Number two, you had to be a company that had over 120 agents. So that immediately eliminated many companies, from even being a potential candidate for Moxie. But what Moxie suite of products is, it's several different things. One of them, it is a Moxie Engage is a powerful CRM, a customer retention module. It's designed to, specifically for real estate professionals, because a lot of CRMs that folks have used in the past, they're designed for different business applications. This is specifically designed for the real estate professionals, for offices, for teams, for agents, looking to automate how they do business and to make it, to really streamline the marketing efforts and staying on top of transactions and making sure they're doing the kind of things that they need to do to give themselves the best, opportunity for success. I'm gonna give you a statistic, and statistics are one of these things that they sound good and they help people sell product. But this is one that if you're able to get half of this number, it's a success. Agents that used Moxie Engage, which is their CRM module, increased their closed sides by 77%. That's closed business. They increased their closed business by 77%. You give me half that number, I'm happy. So we're very excited about that aspect of it. The next thing is Moxie Presents. It's an online listing presentation that takes data from the local MLSs, and it's able to really put together a great listing presentation. You're able to do it quickly, seamlessly. Agents that use Moxie Present as their listing presentation increase their business by 20%. I mean, these are great numbers. And even if you fall a little short of that, that's why there's so much buzz around, these products, and why we're so excited to begin offering them to the Century 21 system. In addition to that, we're going to have Moxie websites are going to be available, which is, of course, be able to offer web content for the agents and the teams, as well as Moxie Impress, which is just an automated digital marketing tool to help people, market their products and services that are out there. And then for the brokers, we're going to have Moxie Talent, which is going to be a module that's going to help you really hone in and focus and help you be more effective at recruiting, as you continue to try to grow your business as well. So a lot of exciting things that, and reason for people to be excited about this particular product. It is a very big hurdle for us to, launch this product to the brand. It's happening in waves, which, I'm going to get in front of this question that may come up later. We're not able to just turn the switch on for the whole franchise system and say, okay, it's available. We're doing it in waves. Our marketing department and Realogy product department is the ones that determine, which particular windows a company is going to fall within. But there is a ramp up process, and, roughly about every 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to be having another wave of companies that are going to be coming on board. So there'll be communications coming out from the brand about when, each company's enrollment time is going to start and what needs to happen for us to put all the rubber on the road, if you will.
Wow. So, and obviously the important thing, what's the cost to me as a broker to make sure that my agents have these great tools?
I'm sorry, say that again, Stephen.
What is the cost to me as a broker to make sure that all my agents have got, you know, these great tools that you're talking about?
The cost is nothing. That's something that we as a brand are doing. You know, it's part of what we provide to the agents, to you as an owner broker. Now, when I say nothing, I mean there's an IDX fee that we've got to get from the local board of realtors to provide this data, which is what is the real power behind this product. No different than the same IDX fee that you're paying for Zap or other products that are out there as well. But as far as to your agents incremental costs, that cost is zero. And again, to have this product before, it would have required a broker to invest a minimum of $50,000 a year. So quite a huge product offering that we are giving to you guys.
Mr. Meadler for that. He's
Absolutely.
he's our president. But anyway, Casey, do you have any questions to ask us? Any?
I don't know about questions. I guess I'm curious, because this market is changing quite a bit, and I mean, are you guys still excited about what you're seeing? Because as one of the guys was mentioning, he did so much of his business during the COVID pandemic, and we saw the same thing. I mean, it was just the rates were historically low, and the demand has been there. For Texas, my experience has been continued demand. But are you guys experiencing that, or are you guys starting to see a shift in the market at all?
Pass that to James.
Well, I'm not. I'm experiencing slowdown, of course, because of rates and people thinking that they can wait until something kind of turns and it's going to be an advantage to them. Now, unfortunately, um, agents feel that. Some agents feel that way as well. So I feel like there's a miseducation with some of the agents. So it's one thing that I say it, but then it's another thing that the agents are also on board with saying, hey, you know what? This isn't the time to wait because prices, even if interest rates go down, which I think that'll happen, the prices of these homes,
and they can always refinance.
I don't see them. Yeah, you can always refinance. Get the house now rather than waiting because you buy what you're going to get today for $300,000. If you wait till next year, it could be $350,000.
And some of the new builders have started to drop their price.
So, and you'll.
And then if you refinance later, then you've got best of both buckets.
My thing is just being educated enough to have the conversation with the consumer because they really don't know. They listen to a Susie Orman or a Diana Orlick or somebody that's a real estate correspondent. They haven't sold a house in years, but that's their subject matter expert on some of these shows, and they feel empowered with that knowledge. But we are the license holders, and we need to be educated. And
you understand the local market.
We need to be educated enough to be able to talk about it in our specific markets.
Right.
Absolutely. So I mean, for me, I just think we've all been through these cycles. I've been through this cycle, been in this 22 years. So it goes down, it comes back up, goes down, come back up. So just gotta wait and see what happens, man. Right. Hopefully I can keep my lights on.
And how about you, Dennis? What are you expecting in the future?
Actually, I think right now we're at a point in time where we're being able to see more inventory come available out there. Thus, probably why you're seeing the new builders lowering their prices. There was at a point in time over the last 3 years where it just wasn't anything out there to buy.
Right.
But I think the listing side is the side that drives the business for us.
Right. Actually, I got a call yesterday because of Century 21 to list a house which was sort of inside the loop, and it's somebody that's moving out of Houston, but so that could be exactly what's going to happen. Do you think there's more listings for the future there, Casey? Do you think that's something that will definitely happen with the Fed pushing their rate up?
I think it depends on where you're at. I think what we're seeing in the states of Texas and Florida specifically, the influx of folks that have been moving into your state, I don't know that that's going to really help the listing inventory. So yeah, I'm not anticipating anything really relieving that pressure with the inflation as well, slowing down the new housing starts. There's a lot of negative things working against that.
Do you think, if we hit the $6 gas, which it looks like we're going to, do you think that
Can we get to
will?
five first? Why you want to skip over five, man?
Well, I
Come
personally think the
on.
gas is going to 6 European prices.
Man,
Do you do you think do you think that's enough motivation for people to sell the house and buy another house? Because we've had that in the past, haven't we? We've had that in the past where
Well, I personally don't see the correlation between high gas prices and you selling your home, unless you're kind of out in the outskirts, right? So when the rates were low, prices were, decent. People were moving out to the suburbs, because you drive in, gas was cheap. It's no big deal. But now the gas is more expensive. That might be a push on it, but I don't know. It could be. The deal is that we have to talk to them about it. I mean, because people will look at the gas prices and they just won't do anything because everything is so expensive. Because we know gas is up, then the products are up. The grocery store shelves are start to get empty. All of these things that are happening can stagnate the market. And kind of to Casey's point, so many people are moving from other states into Texas, and hopefully they're not bringing all of their views with them to Texas. But anywho, I digress. Um, that's an issue. That's an issue because the builders can't keep up. They can't hire enough people to build these homes to keep up with the demand for them, and it kind of props them up and put them in a position of advantage if we don't empower them with taking buyers in there where they can just charge whatever they want for these homes. And I mean, because some of these tiny homes, man, they're like 1,200, 1,300 square feet, and they want 350,000 for these houses.
right, which is nuts, which is nuts. How about you? What's your feeling on it, Dennis?
Well, actually, what I've seen in the trend is that
This is in the commercial.
Oh,
We're
on the
talking-
commercial
yeah, on the
side.
commercial
But actually, I've seen commercials still moving, and especially in the smaller business people. It seems that in our community that there's more expansive things going on. Your restaurant offices, your doctor's office. There are a lot more people out there that are looking for spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think that through the COVID thing and now people want to get out to the house?
Well, I think that also, especially when they open back the restaurants up. I mean, a lot of people that were already in business suffered, but we're seeing a trend of the small business person are looking for places now.
Right.
I just seen a lady that had she had a food truck, but now she has a standalone business to supplement
So
her
she's
food
so
truck.
she's growing a
grown
business.
Her business, yeah.
Good for her. Good for her. Good for her. And then Casey, another question I just want to sort of finish up with, if I can,
Sure.
is over the last 5 years, we've seen an increase in wholesaling. All right. So for those on the channel that want to know what wholesaling is, it's basically I call it a mathematical equation. You've got a house that's worth, let's make it easy, $200,000, and a wholesaler will basically want to buy that house for a so-called cash offer for a maximum of 70%. So say it's worth $200,000. The most they want to pay for that house is maybe 130, 140 to include all the repairs. And then what does the seller want to do? Because it's a cash offer rather than wait around. Well, it's a solid cash offer. And I personally feel that that's been detrimental to our industry over the last 5 years, because basically what's happening is people are purchasing a financial interest in the property, and then they try and sell it on. And I think there's a lot of people that haven't managed to get the equity, the full equity out of their home that a real estate agent would have done. What's your sort of feeling on that?
Well, I don't know that I necessarily have one, outside of, I mean, I don't know that that's ever going away. I think that's always a part of this business where you've got those that are more financially sound and are able to perform, taking advantage of a situation to where someone, obviously, if they're going to, take quite a bit of a reduction on the value of their home just for a quick sale or to go ahead and, cash out, then, there's going to always be people that are going to take advantage of that situation. I think that on the flip side, when they get ready to sell that house, I think the buyers need to beware, which is why it's important to have your inspections done. There's a big difference between somebody buying a house that from the person that's lived in it and somebody buying a house from a company or from a business. A lot more buyer beware there. You're going to want to make sure that you really look at it because they don't know the ins and outs of that property. And you don't know what kind of resources they've had to throw at maybe covering something up. So I don't know that I think that's just been a part of our business that's going to continue on. I don't know that you'll ever see it legislated out.
Trek were talking about it at one time. That's the Texas Real Estate Commission. I was told that they was looking at considering it brokerage, a form of brokerage, but I don't know how they can do that, how they can control that, because it's basically somebody with a contract saying, I'll pay you X amount of dollars. What's your thoughts on that, James?
Paying more?
What's that?
Oh, what did you say on paying more? What are you asking then?
With wholesaling.
Uh-huh. What?
People are take what they're doing is, there's a middleman.
Sure.
They're making 30%, and people that are owning the home aren't getting the full equity out of a property, and they're taking that because it's a full cash offer.
Right. I don't know that you even have. I mean, in some of our areas here, there's a market here for a lot of that. Prime example, we issued a pre-qualification letter on a rush, of course. People sent the documentation. Today's Thursday. Sent it Tuesday night. We got it to them late Tuesday. They made the offer yesterday. They offered $30,000 over the list price and didn't get the offer because somebody offered more. So I'm not certain in situations where there's even a lot of those properties that are available to do that with that type of business going on. It's like, shoot, yeah. Well, what do you do? But then I think it goes back to...
I manage a lot of properties.
Right.
All right. And I own a couple of properties, and I can't tell you how many calls I get for people wanting to buy my properties, and they're all from wholesalers. But we'll give you a cash offer.
But they're lowballing, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's the whole thing. They're offering me about 70%. If I got an agent to sell my property, I'd be making 30% more. But they're trying to wave people off for that.
Of course.
Because with wholesaling, that's what it is. It's they're trying to buy the house with all the repairs done for 70% of the value.
Right. And I don't know who's going to go for that deal. I mean, if it's just a little bit of savvy to you, are you going to let your property go for 30% less than what you can do if you held onto it? I mean, I guess if you're in a distressed type of situation, you could, but I don't know. I think the wholesaling, there's a place for it.
Because the last 5 years, that's one of the reasons why I don't think it's added. I think it's added to the inventory problem.
You don't think it's added to?
I do think it's added to the problem.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's too big of a purchase to go alone. Even if you have a distressed property, I would still say have an agent to advise you. Why give a property away at 70% discount?
Because people get distracted by that, the initial cash offer.
And the end result is still the same. You're still going to get cash from even if they're getting a loan. So I don't know. The largest investment that most people make, to go it alone and try to hand it to some guy that sent me a mailer or a postcard, I just think that's not wise financial planning.
Okay. All right, Casey. As I said, I want to thank you for canceling your meeting because this was supposed to be done last week. And because of my health problems that I couldn't do it and I had to cancel it. And I want to thank you for moving it this week. The group of guys that you was thinking, please tell them that we'd like them on the program as well.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to thank them personally for being able to get you on. I want to thank you for your time, you know, and everything you've done and helped us at Century 21 Olympian. And we, you know, hopefully it's not too long before I'll see you again.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to it, Steve.
I
Thank y'all so much.
appreciate
nice
you so
meeting you.
much. Thanks a lot, Casey. Good luck and stay healthy. You bet. And for you, Dennis, thanks again. Appreciate you as well.
Appreciate you having me.
And my co-host over here.
Yeah,
I
man.
appreciate you, James.
This was good. We'll see how this goes. With who we have on. You never know.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
All right.
We all feel